Hello, welcome back to the channel. Manga Man here, and today we're talking about solo leveling chapter 144. Indeed, it is late, and the streak of doing it on time only lasted a week, but I had issues with my dog. I had to pick my dog up from basic training. Was babysitting yesterday, which meant it got delayed till today. There's no One Piece today to be scanulated, so Black Clover will be out later. But for now, we're talking about solo leveling. So without further ado, let's get into this review. Now, admittedly, when the chapter came out, I did read this on time, so it wasn't that I wasn't aware the chapter came out or I'd forgotten about it. I did indeed read it. I was in bed reading it, getting giddy towards the ending. Digested it, and then I read it again today for the video, and there was a comment that I made with a fellow YouTuber on the previous video. So I always encourage everyone to have a conversation with me, get involved on the Twitter or Instagram or the the subreddit or even the comment section below. I love just talking about anime, manga, generally anything. But we were having a discussion and we were talking about how the panel count or the length of the chapter seems to be a lot shorter. And the one thing that I did want to reinforce was, yes, I'd like to have more, as would anybody, but as long as the story progresses somewhere, and the narrative is moving along and it's setting up things, I don't mind it being shorter, because ultimately the people who do this, there's health concerns and everything else happens on the back of it. So if it needs to be shorter so we get consistent good chapters, down the line, I'm fine with that. That being said, relatively simple chapter, but it does one thing that I wanted to happen. I wanted Sun Jin Woo to give a good old smackaroonie to Dongsu, and we got that. How much damage he does, how bad it is, we don't know, but that happens, and the fact that that happened made me very happy. Put a nice smile on my face, which was pretty cool. So that's kind of getting ahead of ourselves. Let's kind of go down the chapter, essentially cover the main bits. So from Sun Jin Woo's point of view, he's kind of basically in regret. He doesn't regret killing, the older brother. He just regrets not putting a shadow on his friend, who's his vice captain. And he's trying to figure out what's happened, and you see him having a conversation with the bureau, and they're saying that he's probably here somewhere. He wouldn't have been taken out of the city, so we will find him. And for the most part, considering what you find out later on in the chapter, you kind of realize this is a stalling tactic. They want to stall him in fear of what might happen. And then, he's obviously let his shadows out and whatnot, so keep that in mind. Then we see a conversation happening with Thomas Andre and one of his associates, one of his underlings, and he's trying to get his head around why he's still done what he's done, and they make it clear that the S rank hunter knows that Sun Jin Woo is stronger than him, but obviously he's still going after him because he knows Thomas Andre is going to jump in, which, to be fair, is something we've all speculated or wanted or guessed maybe to happen. And he's kind of like saying, he's like, well, maybe I've been too nice to these people. And then we find out they've got a location, and the Bureau have helped it because it was essentially they were trailing him or tailing his routine, and 3 times he did not stick to that. He veered off a little bit, and they kind of get an idea where he is, and they send everybody, they cancel all raids, and the Hunter Bureau of that area, USA, are like, what's going on, something big is happening, Thomas Andre's involved. And then obviously the way they got this information from the Bureau in the first place was, if we don't find Dongsu, basically Thomas Andre and Sun Jin Woo are going to clash, which is a big thing considering there's only 5 of them in the country, in the world even, and 4 of them are fighters, and these are going to be 2 of them, and if both of them die, that's 50% potential loss there from that cluster at that level. That being said, we then get to see where he is, and it was one of those things where you think his understanding is so genius, is dumb, if that makes sense, because they found a warehouse that's not been used in 5 years. They found a warehouse that's away from everything else, so no one else can hear him scream. But then no one else will hear him scream either when he gets tortured by Sun Jin Woo's fist, clapping those cheeks. And it was like, oh, I was never going after Sun Jin Woo, I was going after his vice captain. It's like, by going after the vice captain, you're going after him anyway, so it's like, I don't know, I don't understand the logic there. I don't know, something must have happened to you, you've been sniffing the glue or something. But, you know, his logic is, if I don't go after him directly, I'm not breaking the rules, which is true technically. But ultimately, by extension, you are going after him because now he's coming after you. And then obviously he does the being. I wasn't, obviously didn't like that, but he's got a healer, but you know, heal him. But the fact that even in those situations, this guy's a S-class hunter, Jinha is basically like, you know, swears, basically gives him the finger, and he's defiant, and I like that. And then it kind of gets interrupted by an orc, and he's like, "What's an orc doing here? Has there been a break or something?" And the orc is scared because the orc realizes that Sun Jin Woo is getting annoyed, and you know, one of the shadows with the mother, which I believe was Beru. It looked like Beru with the outline. Basically said he's annoyed. You know, all the shadows across the different locations were kind of shaking, and then we hear I imagine it. I just imagine him saying exchange. We see the panel says exchange, and we see that Thomas Andre is basically realizing that the fight has already started, and he jumps out of. He breaks the door, and there's obviously going to be damages and cost implied. And he goes, "I'll see you there." And he runs, and he knows the fight has started. And you see Sun Jin Woo punch through Dong Su, and then he's just standing vexed, and that's how it ends. And it's like, simple chapter, not much to go through. Realistically, we know what's going to happen next. People are going to get clapped up. Scavenger Guild are going to get there. They're going to get clapped up, and I'm sure Thomas Andre is going to get clapped up. Again, I'm still holding by the system and belief that Thomas Andre is a vessel for one of the rulers, and that's why he could sense that energy of the monarch to know that the fighting has started. Or he's so powerful he can sense him from a mile away. In either case, a lot of interesting things for a short chapter where not a lot happens, but it sets up, you know, the expectations. The fight's gonna break and cheeks are gonna get clapped. Wham bam, thank you ma'am, see you later, my name's not Sam. That being said, I will try to be on time next week. I will see you then. This will get posted as soon as possible, and as soon as I get a chance in the evening, if possible, I will do Black Clover. See you next time. Peace.